of all, I want to thank all of you for braving the wet weather and coming out, and to welcome you to Monte Vista Elementary School here in Cypress Park. And on behalf of Councilmember Cedillo, our boss, I want to thank you also for coming and joining us and participating in this community workshop on public safety improvements for the northeast corridor of Figueroa. My name is Sharon Lowe. I'm the Special Projects Deputy for Council District 1. And many of you may wonder what the hell does that mean? Well, essentially means I do almost anything, but particularly parks, transportation. I identify funding. I go after funding. I see projects from start to finish as much as possible and keep them moving through our district. And particularly, I'd like to also introduce you to members of our staff. I have Conrado Casas, our district director, at table number 1, and Melinda Alatorre is our field deputy for the area. Many of you already know her. I hope you know her well. Luis Reyes is at table number 2. He's our communications deputy. At table number 3, we have Sharon Lowe, our senior planning deputy. And we have Jose Rodriguez, who's our field assistant district director and field deputy, who covers our Lincoln Heights and Cypress Park and Glasgow Park communities. He's assisting me on tech. And we have Ana Gomez sitting here at she's our field deputy in the southern portion of our district. She covers Temple Beaudry, Westlake, MacArthur Park, Pico Union, and University Park. So she covers a very large area of the district. We also have, sitting over in the back here, Hugo Ortiz. He's our go-to person in the South. He helps us with almost everything. And, you know, I can always count on him to be here, even in rain. We have Yvette Serna, our office manager for our field. In addition, I have Susie Miro, who's our executive assistant office manager in the City Hall office. We are also joined by Carter Rubin from the Mayor's Office on the Great Streets program. And my fellow staffers will forgive me if I forgot anybody and remind me, because my brain is a little tired right now. This is our second workshop in a series, and we went on, if we can go, as you can see up here on the screen, we have major designations and resources within our Highland Park community. And this evening, I'm going to do a preliminary overview, which is just basically going through the slides here, then identifying our main purpose for having you out here just before the holidays is because the Metro call for projects grant application is due in January. The city has a process for an internal review. Each council district was submitted a maximum of 4 projects per council district for consideration by our technical team in the city. And we advocate for it. One of the strengths of the grant application is community participation. This particular one here for the North Figueroa corridor has quite an extensive amount of community participation to date. We've had 2 focus groups, one by our Northeast artists and one by our business focus group. And as you well know, we've also had the bike meeting. And this is will be another one. And we're focusing, I apologize, we were supposed to have 2 boards at each table. Unfortunately, the general services printing did not print the Avenue 50 to Avenue 54 for me. There was a mix-up, obviously, in tech, it did not. But the focus for tonight is on phase 1, which is in the heart and core of North Figueroa, from Avenue 54 to Avenue 60, where we have the heart of our business district, the heart of our community venue. And it's also the configuration of the streets. As we go beyond 54, go down to 53, particularly starting 52 to 50, 53 to 52, 50, we have a different configuration. And so we wanted to focus on this because we have, as everybody knows, we have that wonderful cheer jog on our intersections. We don't have the cross at intersections, which causes significant issues. So that's why we're going to focus this evening on that. Then after the run fund, we'll break out into groups, and you have facilitators at each of the tables who will help keep things moving, and you'll identify your priority concerns and top 3 safety improvements, and then you'll literally get into hand designing all of those boards for us. And then we'll have presentations from each group. So we can move to the next slide. As you well, many of you have seen this already. I wanted to re-emphasize the hazard conditions along North Figueroa. This is from 2003 to 2012. I'm sure that, I unfortunately did not have time to update with any additional accidents, collisions along for 2013. And so, as you can see, these are major issues. It is time we fully address the need for safety along Figueroa. And all of this comes together, and the council members, what we've identified as the PEACE agenda. It's an acronym for public safety, economic development, arts and culture, keeping our communities clean, and the environment. All of which, Highland Park, it really does exemplify in terms of arts and culture. Clearly a need for public safety is long overdue. Economic development, I know many of you have been reading in the newspapers, the blogs, and everything about gentrification. But basically, we should. I prefer to look at Highland Park as having, it's revitalizing. It's always had its history, it's had its culture, its art, and we have our ebbs and flows, and this happens to be one of our flows. So we go to the next thing. And I mentioned earlier that we had focus groups in our business community, small focus groups, as well as with our artist focus groups in August and September. And, just about a dozen or so people in each session. And this is a summary from the comments that they provided and the survey forms that they completed, identifying issues and addressing how to address some of the public safety issues. Landscape, pedestrian, refuges, as many of you know, it's difficult to cross the street within the time you're allotted, and many people get stuck right in the middle. So, and having to do that. So we sort of combined the need for slowing down and having signage to tell people to do that, extending that countdown so people can adequately get across the street, marking the crosswalk, very essential to make it brighter, much more distinguishable. And particularly at our unsignalized intersections, having no left turns, which are a significant cause of accidents. A traffic signal on Avenue 51 was definitely one of the highlights. Flashing light at fire station crosswalk. And as you know, when you're walking on the street, you already need those street sidewalks here. So they've identified those. Outdoor dining was identified as a priority along the Figueroa corridor. Parklets were reflected in multiple locations. Public parking wayfinding sites. Highland Park does have public parking. It just if people know where to go instead of circulating around. It would be helpful if North Figueroa they can actually see. And I know the Highland Park Chamber of Commerce is very strong in asking for that. And a branding for Highland Park. Historic Highland Park signage that's reflective of the historic nature of the community. Seating around the trees, people wanted more outdoor public seating areas and shade, we provided with shade. And one particular seating area with built-in trash cans. I wasn't clear about that, but I put it in there that was requested. Transit amenities, many of you know our bus stop We're looking at bus stop extensions to make it safer for people to get across the street and provide more seating area as well. Shelters for the seating at the bus stop, and particularly at the community ownership and beautification, more shade trees along Figueroa, landscaping with indigenous plants and drought-tolerant plants, inclusion and promotion of our Nilo artist community, having on-street public art elements. As you well, many of you should know that Ronnie has a mosaic sidewalk tile streetscape program that is going into construction in 2015. And the request was that design of elements that go along the street would be reflective of the historic nature of the Figueroa corridor. And I wanted, the next slide will show you what's been done to date in response to many of that came out of it. That also proceeded. At Avenue 55 and Avenue 60, the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which exist already along Colorado Boulevard, have been funded and will be installed. And that's at Avenue 55 and also at Avenue 60. It's the Avenue 60 leg that's adjacent to the fire station, not the Avenue 60 leg that's closest to the Gold Line crossing. The other is Avenue 51, pedestrian safety improvements. We submitted a grant application in October. We got overwhelming letters of support and petitions signed by parents at the Monte Vista Elementary School, at Aldama Elementary School, and at Academia on Figueroa, as well as many of the community organizations. That grant determination has actually advanced. We thought we wouldn't know until January. We've been informed that we will have a decision on that on December 23rd. And so we're feeling very strong about that we have a successful grant application. And if it is approved and funded, that will be in construction within 12 months. So that was in response to the community as well as to clearly a great need based on the accident at that intersection. And reminding Hyman Park, as you can see, these are the images of the tiles that will be at the 10 intersections along Figueroa. There's been extensive community involvement in that as well. And these mosaic tiles will literally be inlaid into the sidewalk. And the whole mark of each intersection will have Avenue 51, Avenue 55. They'll be marked on there and they will also the community. It reflects the history of the community and it was designed with the community members, particularly members of the Historic Heritage Trust Association. So that brings us to why you're here tonight. We need your input. We need you to assist us and looking for solutions. Pedestrian safety, it's time for solutions for pedestrian safety for all users who utilize Figueroa corridor. And these are some examples. Before you on those boards and in those little cutouts are various images of some of these types of safety improvements that we want you to tell us where you think we can put them, or where you think they will go best and where we're needed most. On the next slide, we want you to think of how we make it safer. There's potential for bump outs at the corridor, at the corner intersections, where you would want to see those located. Imagine bus stop extensions at these intersections. And I think again, they don't have to be here, you can put them somewhere else, but this is just based on input that we received from the business focus group as well as our new artist focus group. And it's also, you'll see at these intersections, one of the things that the Bureau of Street Services has already informed us, a concern they have is putting extensions on the west side of the street may cause flooding on the east side of the street. street because we have a high crown in the middle. These are things, technical things that we still have to address, but nonetheless, we're looking at where we can expand the sidewalk, provide additional space for seating, for public gatherings, and for outdoor dining. So, on the very next slide, we look at narrowing the lanes for traffic lanes. This gives us more usable space. There is an issue and concern over parking. People always worry about losing parking, having the bus stops there, the extensions. These are examples of safe refuges for pedestrians in the middle who happen to get stuck there, but we want it to be beautiful also, not just concrete. Granted, we want to have stormwater capture there, as well as provide beautification along the corridor. So these are just examples for you to look at. So we want a high visibility of crosswalks, curb extensions, median refuges, and signal upgrades along Figueroa. So that's basically what I have to present to you. And we're turning it over to you and to each of your individual groups. Just basically roll up your sleeves and please get to work and give us your input on designing this corridor for this community.
Can you explain how this relates to the mayor's Great Street initiative?
It's all part one and the same. It's the council member together with the mayor selected the Figueroa corridor as a great street. We have already been working on it, working in collaboration, and they both mesh well together. We're saying this is a neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. It's a great street. Making it safe is part of that. Activated, it doesn't even, it clearly is already on en route for activation. It's been activated for a very long time. And enhancing those and provide, so they work hand in hand. A great street, public safety is first and foremost on both the council member's agenda as well as the mayor's agenda. And that's what we both, Carter is here, he can chime in on that as well. And we're here to make this, how to make this a great street that's usable for everybody and safe for everybody.
So there's not going to be another round of meetings?
No, they're all together. And as far as there will be other rounds of meetings, as far as hopefully we get selected, and I'll come back and tell you that we submitted for an application, and I'll come back and tell you, it's been fine-tuned, and we'll have more. But this is conceptual behind getting your input to strengthen the grant application. And if it isn't successful in this first call, the 2015 call for project, which happens every 2 years, the issue with the call for projects, though, is this funding round, the funds, if we were approved, will not become available until 2020. However, doesn't mean we can't apply also for the active transportation program, which comes around in March. So everything you do now is looking at potential funding, different sources, multiple sources, so we can get the active transportation program funds become available much sooner. The issue that we have within the city is whether we have enough staff within the city to implement these projects and move them forward. We just approved in council to fund staff to do that. We were very successful in the first round this past year in active transportation, and then we found out, we realized that we were so successful. But now we have to make sure we have the staff to implement, to do design, and get it done within the time frame that the grant requires. Yes, there was great. Castellar Elementary School, Yale Street Phase 1, Chinatown. Phase 2, we will move that forward, that's connected. And the two of the projects were already funded by the previous Metropolitan projects. However, with the change in the federal funding, those had to be submitted for the active transportation. And they were both successful in being funded. So, I'll turn it over to you now so that our facilitators can get underway.